welcome you all on behalf of Digital Empowerment Foundation. Today we are conducting an event on discussion on youth digital narratives and algorithms. So before we start our session, I would like to invite Mazhar, who is a lead at Digital Empowerment Foundation on the Digital Swaraj Fellowship. So we have two publications which are related to the fellowship. He will launch those publications along with Osama sir. So Osama sir is also here. He is the founder and CEO of Digital Empowerment Foundation. Please welcome Osama sir.
Thank you. Hello everyone, I'm Mazhar and I'm leading the fellowship program this year. And thank you Vikas for inviting me here. So I'm here to introduce the two books which we are launching today. The first book, Digital Journey to Swaraj, Imprints of Change. It is edited by Ashwini Kanjilal and Ashwini and Arpita, and the testaments to the transformative impact of the Digital Swaraj Fellowship. So before going ahead talking about more about this book, I would like to also say one line about the fellowship program. So the fellowship is basically the bridging the educational gap for young leaders to understand development for the digital lens, which is currently kind of missing from the mainstream degree courses. Coming back to the book, it is an anthology of experiences, learnings, and insights shared by the fellows of cohort 2023-2024, who have been at the forefront of the digital inclusion and empowerment across India's diverse landscape. The book captures the essence of the fellowship program into two parts. The part one, the Digital Swaraj in Action. Stories of grassroots change unfolds through the narratives of Maitri Singh, Millie Dangwal, who is also sitting in the panelist, Pratiksha Kamble, Kunti Kumari, Shishti Sinha, Swati Tiwari, and Vikas Tinchkar. Each chapter highlights unique initiatives that reflects the power of digital tools, promoting a citizen and community-centric development, and building an inclusive and resilient digital ecosystem. Part 2, Fellow Ki Dunia, noted from the community offer deeper insights into the digital ecosystem. Fellow Ki Dunia, deeper insight into the fellow's personal journey from digital odysseys to bridging urban-rural divides. The one-year fellowship journey showcases the challenges and victories of nurturing and creating a fellowship journey, showcases the challenges leaders and expected in the digital and development sectors. So that's about the first book. Then we have another book launch, which is the book name is Navigating Through Digital and Social Realities. Someone is showing you the book. Stories. This book is stories of struggle, hope, and resilience. It is a powerful collaboration between Digital Empowerment Foundation and Youth Ki Awaaz, and we are both the founders with us, Osama sir and Anshul. This book captures the lived experience of India's youth as they navigate the digital landscape, featuring 30 compelling stories in English and Hindi as well. So the 15 stories are in Hindi and 15 stories are in English. From the young authors across diverse regions, the book delves into pressing issues surrounding digital access, right, safety, and inclusion through narrative of struggle, hope, and resilience. It sheds light on the unique challenges and opportunities the digital access brings, particularly for students in high schools and colleges. By amplifying the voice of youth, the book aims to foster awareness and encourage informed engagement with the digital space, empowering young readers to build a safe, more inclusive, and digital future for themselves and for the communities. So this is about the two books. Now we'll do the launch. I would like Osama sir and Anshu sir to come forward and take a picture of both the books.
Say something.
And yeah, I would also like you to say a little bit about it.
No, firstly, I think it's absolutely amazing that we are doing this and we got to do this for a couple of reasons. Firstly, that so you give us a platform where young people, many of them like you, write, share their stories on issues that they are passionate about. One such very big topic on YK is about how young people experience technology. It's one thing to, of course, write with the community. It's another thing to see it published in a book. I think there is a lot of value that is accorded to those stories the moment it gets published in a book like this. And we are very thankful to the Digital Empowerment Foundation for this partnership. We ran a campaign. We got hundreds of stories from across the country or from young people who shared their experiences of experiencing technology, of their aspirations from technology, what their dreams look like when it comes to using technology. And 30 were selected to be a part of this book. So these are 30 very real, very compelling, very inspiring narratives directly from young people from across the country, sharing what they really want. This is like almost like a Young India's digital aspiration manifesto, if I can call it that. But I'm extremely glad that we're getting to do this.
Yeah. So for my age, print is the only option, no? So that's why you printed it. So, yeah. So, two things, just to make it relevant, since all of you are unknown to us. आप लोग आर्मी स्कूल से हैं? आर्मी जैसा है या नॉन आर्मी जैसा है? Is it straight like you or slightly relaxed? Relaxed? So, just for you and the other, two relevant things. Since you are around less than 20 age, and then there are between 20 and 25 age group here. There are two level of things that is relevant in this session. One is Youth Ki Awaaz is a platform like social media platform or any platform, but this one is a platform which gives chance for all of you to express, right? Expression चाहिए ना, curated expression, not like कुछ भी लिख दिया, वह क्या कर रहा है? So आप क्या कर रहे हैं? Something like that. आपके पास टाइम है तो क्या हम आपसे मिल सकते हैं? Something like that, right? So it's slightly curated, published. That's a beautiful platform. And उससे थोड़ा अलग Digital Empowerment Foundation, which is 25-year-old, आपको क्यों नहीं बोलने को कुछ मिल रहा है? How digital is bad or good? Why poor people are not getting? So it's good things and bad things is second level. That discussion, that is the platform that one. You both have to go to that level, right? So this is a good forum to discuss that one, right? And there is one very good thing. Since I was a bad student, I realized when I became slightly older, is that question paper everybody keeps safe. Answer paper nobody keeps safe. After sometimes they all throw it, right? But every answer paper has got at least 50%, 60%, 70%, 80%, 90% right, no? तो तुम मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन पढ़ लेते हो और वो 70% राइट पढ़ने के लिए नहीं रख रहा है यार. You know what I mean? So we don't preserve answers written by students, and each answer is so different because everybody is differently writing, no? Same answer. Why we don't keep it? So that's another thing that we are doing here. You all are answers to our future. We all want to preserve you as different kind of answers, and we want to take it forward to learn from you. Right? And that is the reason we printed these kind of things and not forgetting the old style of printing and also keeping new. Okay? So my job is only here to release and just make this a little relevant. आप relax करके यहाँ पर थोड़ा enjoy करो. उसके बाद यहाँ पर free में चाय भी मिलेगा. Free में मिलेगा कि नहीं मिलेगा तो मेरे से पैसे लेगा. Okay, that's it. I will go and release this and all of you read this because it's also available in PDF, right? Yeah, you all are enough old to read all that. Don't ignore it, right? Thanks.
So, like a picture.
So we should release it. So can we ask one of you to also come with us and one from the back to release it, right?
Yeah.
It will look nice, no? Ultimately, आप पढ़ोगे नहीं तो ये क्या फायदा release करने से? Come. Hold it. आ जाओ. अरे तुम्हारे पास में स्टार भी है. उधर चलिए. आ जाओ. Yeah, take any of them. Okay. So non-formal dress वाले कोई नहीं है? Anybody? Okay, so released. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you so much for smiling.
Thank you, Osama sir, for being here and launching the book. So basically, Osama sir has cut my job short by talking a few things about the panelists here. I was supposed to introduce them to all of you. We have here with us Anshul Tiwari. Welcome, sir. Anshul Tiwari he is a social entrepreneur and founder of Youth Ki Awaaz, which is India's largest media platform, online and offline, for young people to speak up, take action and create an impact. He has worked across media and citizen advocacy and has also served as a director on the board of Chakka, a campaigning organization committed to building grassroots citizen power across India. And collectively, a World Economic Forum and Unilever non-profit with a focus on sustainability. So Anshul is a fellow, is an Ashoka Fellow for Social Entrepreneurship and was named a Young Innovator by the United Nations ITU in 2012. He was also named as Forbes 30 Under 30 Media Influencer in 2018. We're glad to have you, sir. Looking forward to the discussion with you. So next we have Amitabh Kumar, who is the most active person in the group. You must have noticed already. He is the forefront of global expansion as the go-to-market leader at Contrails.ai, a startup dedicated to AI-powered trust and safety solutions. At Contrails.ai, Amitabh is scaling his vision for enhancing online safety across international borders, leveraging cutting-edge AI to safeguard digital interactions. So, very interesting work. Amitabh spearheaded the initial go-to-market strategies for acclaimed online safety programs like social surfing, tree surfing. So these initiatives have reached over 100,000 individuals in persons across India, Nepal, and Bhutan, with workshops conducted in more than 150 cities globally. His advocacy efforts have facilitated significant partnerships with tech leaders, including engagement with Mark Zuckerberg's Meta, Jack Dorsey's Twitter, and Reed Hastings' Netflix, cementing his status as a leader in online safety and digital citizenship. Welcome, Amitabh sir.
Thank you.
Glad to have you here. Also, we have another very interesting person, Mili Banwal. She's a Digital Swaraj Fellow, which is a fellowship program hosted by DEF from the inaugural cohort. So the first batch of fellows, where she engaged deeply with the digital and social landscapes of rural Tamil Nadu, particularly supporting communities producing GI-tagged products through digital and artisan empowerment. So now, a part of the communications and media team at the Digital Empowerment Foundation, Millie plays a key role in expanding projects through social media advocacy, content curation, and event coordination. She envisions studying the impact of technology in societal contexts to enhance capability building and drive transformative change in underserved communities. I'm really sorry about that. Okay, welcome, Millie. Glad to have you here. So next we have another very important person who you might end up liking a lot, at least the young lot of you. So she is Sumaya Khan, and she is currently pursuing her bachelor's as an English major at St. Xavier's College in Goa. She has dabbled her hand in storytelling, poetry, theatre, and public speaking, and believes that words are spells waiting to be spoken, or in her case, written. In July 22, her collection of 21 poems titled Paperboard was published and selected after a nationwide writing challenge. So she has since continued to publish her writings on online platforms, including Youth Ki Awaaz and Substack. In November 23, she won first place in a national level storytelling competition organized by Shiv Nara University, Delhi, for her short story titled A Little Time Out, inspired by her mother's many teachings of life. Her other forms of creative expression include rap, monologues, amazing. I hope we get to hear some of that. And script writing in Hindi, English, and Konkani. She has an abiding interest in the traditions and folklore of her native Goa. Reading a good book, sipping a cup of tea, and spending time with her numerous dogs are what make her the happiest. So, welcome, Sumaya. I'm looking forward to the discussion. Yes. So, now I would like Millie to lead the discussion. So, please, so since we also launched these books, which are a part of your journey as well, right? So as a Digital Swaraj Fellow. So she was the Digital Swaraj Fellow and was the first batch. So please tell us what your experience has been as a Digital Swaraj Fellow. What kind of learnings did you have? What kind of exposure did you have? And what kind of experience did you gain? Just tell me everything. Tell us everything about it.
Okay, thank you so much, Vikas. Hello, everyone. I guess you have heard my name now a lot and about fellowship also. And I guess Mazhar have given you a glimpse of what fellowship is about, but I'll try to tell you about my journey. So, I'm basically from a very small town of Uttarakhand and lived in a very humble and a very beautiful place throughout my whole schooling. And when I see them, I can just remember going to my school that way. So, how my journey started with the fellowship was basically. We learn a lot of things in school and college, right? We know that after school we have to go to college, and after college we have to do masters. So there is a set thing. So when I did my grads, after that I realized that I don't want to do a job. Like I don't want to go to the market to get into the employment space, but I want to experience something which is like meeting new people, traveling, listening to stories, and to be honest, as an individual, what are some things which you want to improve about yourself. So I want to go into that space. So when I was looking for options, that there are a lot of other fellowships and internships existing in the market. DSA turned out to be was introducing its first batch, and what intrigued me about the space was that we see a lot of other organizations which are very incredible in terms of other spaces. Maybe it could be women's rights, poverty, unemployment. But I was very intrigued by the idea how digital as an ecosystem we can use when it comes to your society, when you need to deal or you need to bring out the stories of society. So that's why I applied and I got into the fellowship. During my cohort, I had two major locations where I worked. First was Jharkhand. So I lived there for a month, and that was a really new space for me because Jharkhand it's purely like an agrarian place and everybody's in agriculture, and the socio-economic landscape is very different from where I came. And then I realized that whatever perspectives I had, whatever I learned is so different. It is so different in a way that sometimes in text we read like okay, certain stages like this and that, but when you meet people, the situation is purely different. So when I went there and I realized that what poverty is. What poverty is. What when a farmer who's not able to earn much, or who's not getting enough support, what does the plate looks like. And I think that just brings you from here to here. It humbles you to some extreme, end. And I remember that, we listen in the news channel and all that till 10 kilometers there is no services or something. When I traveled those 10 kilometers, I realized 10 kilometers is literally a lot. We see that as a number. Right? I'll tell you, like, now 1 kilometer. But for a person who's not having any commute, can you just imagine somebody walking 1 kilometer? And that humbled me so much. And these were the points that made me believe that, okay, gaps exist. And when I'm saying this, I think I would like to add here only, like you all are in school right now, whatever your education system is supporting, that's great. But be open to experience things. You will read a lot, you will continue to read a lot, maybe books or other things. But what I read turns out to be many things turned out to be true and many were additions to it. So I was in Jharkhand, I saw all the rural communities and all that. And DF was an organization how we are working with all the rural women and how important it is when we are providing resources to them and how they can, empower themselves in their communities. And then I moved to a very different socioeconomic landscape, that is Tamil Nadu. Very different in terms of, like how people even react seeing you. Because, we can assume that, oh, we'll go and we are like social change makers, they will invite us. It's not that, it takes time even for the community to accept you, to trust you. So I was in Tamil Nadu working in 3 locations, Salem, Pattamada and Udi, and all 3 locations are having artisans who are working in producing GI tag products. So do anyone of you know what is a GI tag? No? So basically it's a tag that is given by government to all those products, like authentic products created by a particular locality. Like Salem silk is a product that is GI tagged by government. So only that is the real one which is having the tag, so that we can keep the legacy and there is no fraud happening. So I work with these artisans promoting that how they can use social media, how they can use other digital tools to upskill themselves and all. So we were working with the rural community in that spaces with the artisans and all. So I just understood that how tough it is to work in a totally complete different landscape where I didn't know the language. I worked in like expressions for a while, but then you understand and then they understand you. So I think this whole process made me realize that we as a youth, I don't know, I count myself. You as a youth, we as a youth have so much potential. We have like that space where we should tap in to understand the ecosystem, and there is so much we can contribute and we can learn from the community. We all come from a different, societal and family backgrounds, but when you go on the ground, it gives you a different perspective and you grow like completely as an individual. So that was the decision I decided that I want to join DF and work in the space for a while to grow myself as an individual more, so I can pursue my further career in this and that. But digital in that way had turned out to be a really great experience. This was the experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. Next, I would like to come to Sumaya. So Sumaya, please tell us about your experiences with artificial intelligence and social media, and how do you see these systems, platforms, these online platforms, and the way that the youth are using these systems today, right? So what kind of experience did you have using these platforms to put out the content that you create, and also how it has impacted you while like the process of producing content, and how do you think the youth are consuming these platforms today, and what kind of effects that these platforms might have, especially on the mental health of the youth in this country?
Hello. So I was told that a lot of y'all are interested in AI and tech, and I was really nervous because I am an art student, guys. I do not know a lot of scientific stuff, and I am doing my first year in literature. So I am not inclined towards facts. I mean, my job is to create fiction. So bear with me if I get a few of the numbers and data wrong because my maths is horrible. But if you excuse that part, as a very literature-based student, I can tell you all something in the form of a story because that's what I lean towards. So around 40 years ago, Roald Dahl, who is a short story writer, if you all have read some of his stories, he wrote a story called The Great Automatic Grammatizer in 1982. So basically, the story goes that there was a writer, he was a struggling writer. So he thinks, what if I create a machine that can just automatically create short stories? And he makes a machine like that and it is successful. So an industrialist approaches him and he's like, okay, we're making short stories. Why don't we create novels? So they start creating novels automatically. And they have something called plot driven and word driven novels, and it's a great success. And they get very rich, and the story ends. At that point of time, the story was described as sci fi, dystopic, futuristic. 40 years down the line, we know that the great automatic grammatizer does exist, but we call it in a less fancy name, we call it ChatGPT. But we see that the thing is, all these changes that have occurred over the years, for me, I'm not even tech inclined, but as we can see that whatever field you are in, whatever age group you are in, these changes like AI or social media or Google, when they were launched, it was a very rapid development. Like how many of us knew how to use, knew about ChatGPT or say Leonardo AI or even AI itself before we started using it? I for one did because I said I'm really bad with tech. So after my friends started using it, I came to know that something like that exists. So after it was launched in the market. So there are a lot of digital developments that happen every day in the digital landscape. But the thing is that the consumers like us, we don't know what is being developed. And that is where I think the actual problem about this lies, because we are pushed into the landscape and then we are told that, okay, you are here, now you navigate it however you want to. And that has been the same for Google and social media and all those other platforms. So when it comes to, say, social media and AI as well, because now they are interconnected, because half the content we see on social media is artificially created. It is a sort of a form of expression for everyone, for you, for me. You all must be having Insta accounts. I have an Insta account. But the thing is, right now it affects us so much mentally as young people, or even actually people who are older than us, because parents use social media. It affects everyone because more than a form of expression, we are seeing it as a form of impression. We are getting like affected by impressions that social media makes on us, and we are trying to make impressions on others through social media. So everything like our communication, say if you want to talk to someone, you want to convey something, that has become social media based. So you drop a meme in someone's DM without giving any reference to context. Is almost some sort of like ancient ritual, like dropping a dead animal on someone's doorstep. Like you take the meaning that you get from that. There is no extra thing that you have to say. So it's a form of communication now. Memes, reels, all of that is a form of communication. But what we don't realize is that this content that we are sharing so continuously, like we are on social media all the time. I share a lot of content continuously through my friend circles, someone who's close to me. We don't realize that this is a circular sort of content which circles within the same groups. So if I check my feed today and if I check the feed of someone who's close to me, like my friend, it's going to be the same feed. We are going to get the same memes, we are going to get the same reels, we are going to get the same posts. At first, it doesn't seem like that's a problem because you're connecting with people who have the same interests. But the problem lies in the fact that there is a sort of over personalization of content that is going on. So it's very targeted. If you have an opinion about something, that is good. Seeing stories or posts that match with your opinion is good. But this sort of bombarding of content, like we are bombarded by our own opinion all the time. So how do we question something? Because we don't know the other side of the story at all. So that is a problem that happens because of this whole algorithm optimization or personalization of data, I would say. And I think that is a little unfair, especially when it comes to political opinions, because unfortunately, social media also serves as a form of news for a lot of people. And if you are getting only one side of the news, you know that that news is not a news, it's an opinion. If you see your own opinion on social media and that news is something that pleases you, it's not news, it's an opinion. News is supposed to be objective, you should not have any emotion attached to it. So I think that whole thing about these algorithms forcing us to accept content really affects our choice in the matter, I would say.
That is very wonderfully put here. Thank you so much. So, in the same line of thought, I would like to bring in Anshul into the argument. So, if this is how the information is being curated on the internet, and the youngsters especially are bombarded with information, like she said, they don't have a choice. Like we grew up, we were born before internet was there, and then we grew up seeing how it emerged and how it has taken over our lives. So at least we had a say, at least in the beginning, some कि हाँ मैं ये account create करूँ नहीं करूँ मेरी मर्जी, ये नहीं तो कुछ मतलब whatever. We had some sort of a choice, some agency कहीं ना कहीं, right? But the youth right now, like they are born into this information age. I see people at home, distracting their kids with mobile phones, because they have to do their household chores. So that's the kind of bombardment that's going on. And like you said, like as she talked about the consequences of such things, and you as a person who has also been like working in this area. So what are your thoughts going forward, especially in the context of identity making, I would say, online?
Well, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. Firstly, I think you articulated it perfectly. It's very, very well said. Absolutely correct. What she mentioned. So firstly, before I get to that, let me share a little bit about where technology was when I started Youth Kevas, because I think that's a very important point. I started Youth Kevas 16 years ago. 16 years ago, I was 17. I was in school. And at that time, Twitter did not exist. The concept of Twitter did not exist, right? Facebook was very new. It was, I think, 1 or 2 years old in India. And so much of the platforms that we access today were not even conceptualized at that. Snapchat was not even conceptualized at that time. So the internet was very different when I started Youth Kevas. At that time, there was a severe lack of spaces for young people to share what they wanted to say. And I started because of a very personal reason. I felt like, I'm 17, I have an opinion, I want to share it with people, but everybody just keeps telling me that you're too young to share an opinion. You should focus on your studies. You should plan your college. You should do this, you should do that, right? And I was so frustrated with this idea that young people's perspective does not matter, that I started a platform where it mattered. And today it's grown. It's grown into one of the largest platforms of its kind, and so on. But the internet has also grown, and the internet has evolved a lot. It's evolved to a point where the problem of lack of spaces does not exist anymore. There are too many spaces. You can go on Instagram, you can go on LinkedIn, you can go wherever you want. And you'll find a space for yourself. You'll find a community that thinks like you. You'll find people who relate very strongly with you. Of course, as Sumaya also mentioned, the problem sort of starts over there, where you start seeing so much familiarity, you start seeing so much of a similar kind of a perspective, that your own perspective starts changing. As humans, we are supposed to be critical thinkers, but the access to or the bombardment of information towards us stops that critical thinking at some point, because we are becoming passive consumers. So I'll tell you a little bit about something that I strongly relate with in this realm, in particular. For the generation of my parents, their access to information was television and the newspaper. right? That was and radio. Those were the three pieces of information that they had access to. What that meant was they were passive consumers, right? They could not talk back to the television. They couldn't suddenly be like, I'm going to be on the news or I'm going to write in the news, but that wasn't an option. They couldn't talk back to the radio, right? Then when our generation really came about, we wanted to break that. We wanted to break this whole feeling that we can't talk back. So we created blogs, we started YouTube channels, we did so much of, building of the internet. And now that has happened to a degree where we've again become passive consumers. The next generation is becoming more and more passive consumers, where you find this, overburdening of information coming onto you. And there's this constant overflow of information that is coming onto you. And it's taking away our critical thinking. And what I mean by that is that, simply put, the human mind, if you think of Instagram reels, by the way, I'm deeply addicted to it. Okay, it's a problem in my life. I wake up and I scroll, I go to sleep, and before I go to sleep, I have to scroll. And then the problem is I wake up tired because I've been scrolling, I've been looking at the screen. Any moment I get when I'm in my office and I'm not working, I'm scrolling. Like, it's a chronic problem, right? But what it does is, it forces you to switch your emotions every 30 seconds. You're angry, you're happy, you're feeling cute, you're not feeling cute, you're feeling sad, there is a war, something else is happening. Like, your brain is constantly, processing so much emotion when it's actually not supposed to be switching emotionally so much within seconds. And what that does is, eventually it desensitizes you with what's happening in the world. So you reach a point where you're thinking, oh, there's a war, yeah, it's far away. Oh, there is this issue, climate change, it's real, I care about it, but let's swipe ahead and let's see what's really happening on the other end, right? It completely desensitizes us from feeling what we truly should be feeling about issues around us, about people around us, about problems in our society, about reality of the world, and so on and so forth. So that is a very significant impact, not just on the lives of young people, on the lives of every person who's as addicted to technology as any other person is, right? So it's and that's how technology is built. There were these series of massive cases that the US government had filed against big tech companies, and Amitabh knows about all of them as well, which was exactly about this: how big tech companies are employing user behavior experts to get teenagers to spend more and more time on social media apps, and how that's leading to social isolation. So you find so much resonance on the phone that you stop finding resonance in the real world. Like I said, it's not just a problem for younger people. So I don't want to say that I'm all sorted and you are not. I'm just as, not sorted. So I feel like as we sort of take to technology, these are very, very critical questions that we need to think of. I'm glad that you're in the room and we can have this conversation with you, and you can maybe think about it and then go back to Instagram Reels. But keep thinking about it as you scroll, and then talk to your peers about it, talk to your family members about it as well, because that's where the real impact needs to be created. It's in our habit of consumption and how we sort of view technology as a place of consumption. It's not going to go away. It's only going to grow. So I'm not saying reject technology. You must not reject technology, but you should be a critical consumer of anything that is being put in front of you. If it's too easy, maybe there's a problem, right? So just think a little bit about that as you go and navigate how technology is changing. And I'll just say one more thing about AI, which is that people have a lot of perspective on how AI is, AI has negative impacts and AI is this and AI is that. I just want to say one thing, that AI is actually a huge enabler. So think of it as an enabler. People, and I've seen this in our work, and I'll tell you how. So Youth Chaos is a writing platform. What happens is, people who are able to write really well, which means they have the skill of articulation, they often rise to the top on our platform, which means they'll be on the homepage, they'll get more readers, they'll hear from the team in a different way. People who don't know how to articulate themselves often struggle to write. But AI makes the playing field completely level. And the reason why it's so good from that point of view is that just because I don't know grammar does not mean that I don't deserve to communicate. It doesn't mean that I don't get to have a voice, right? So AI is a huge enabler for that. Second thing that we've noticed is that for Indian languages, for so long, the North Indian media has completely ignored what happens in the South. For example, right? Forget that. What happens in the Northeast? What happens in even West Bengal? It's only an election issue. Otherwise, it's not. Or some big incident happens and then it's an issue. For regions, for people in those regions, their own voice, for that to matter, their own language is very important. It cannot be English, it cannot be Hindi. It has to be whatever the authentic language of that particular state is. And AI has become this huge enabler because now we have platforms like Bhashini where you can, plug into any AI model and make it accessible in 26 Indian languages and so on and so forth, right? That it's almost become a leveler. So AI, of course, also does really bad things sometimes, but that's also human behavior. It's not that AI is doing it; people are using AI to do it, right? So AI is not sentient; it doesn't have a brain of its own. It's got a person behind it who's feeding text into it, who's feeding information into it. So as you go about navigating that world, think of it as an enabler, think of it as a leveler, and I think that will change a lot of things for AI and for the world as well.
Thank you. That was very nicely put. So, but you spoke you spoke about all the bad consequences of social media first, and then I was expecting you to say something similar about AI, but then you were like,
It's still
it's
building.
good, yeah.
So I'm hoping that we can not see
Yeah.
about that.
You started off with negative and then went positive. That's amazing. I'll get back to both, but Amitabh ji. So taking off from there,
इसका मतलब कि आप बूढ़े हो, अगर जी बोलते हैं ना खत्म बात है। चलिए बताइए।
नहीं सर, ऐसा कुछ नहीं।
Sir,
पक्का बूढ़ा है, डबल स्क्वायर कुछ हो नहीं सर। बताइए।
Okay. So yes. So I would like to ask you how. So in this context, so whatever this is the landscape. Like moreover, the internet landscape is somewhat laid out in front of you by all these three people here, right? So in this landscape, in this situation where we are in right now, from young people's perspective, I would like to. Also, you worked on security systems online, right? So that's your thing. So when we have these guys are forced into this kind of a picture, a landscape, a forest of information where you can't find a way at all, right? So there, and whether they like it or not, they have to create a life for themselves online. Like their information is out there. So a lot of platforms, they collect their information just by their mere presence on the virtual world. They don't even have to enter anything. A lot of the information is being generated automatically and is being used and doxed and all of that, right? So whether they like it or not, there is an identity of themselves that exists, like our identity that exists online, which is different from what we are in the social world. And that, especially for young people, that's a vulnerable thing, right? So, and they don't even know the scale of vulnerability. Like every other day, we get to know about the news of an information leak. Recently, the Star Insurance Company, this data was leaked and was put out on the dark web. So these kind of things are happening, and we don't even know the impact of these things because we have no idea who is leaking information, who is buying it, how they're using it. There's no idea. Right? So in this kind of situation, what should young people really understand from these things? Like how should they take care of themselves, their information, their identities that they're forced to create online? Please.
Oh wow, young people, पता नहीं, no idea about that complicated question. But I'm more of a trainer here. I'm not a speaker like all the other people. So I would like you to look in the room right at the back. So पीछे सब लोग देखो, आप भी पीछे देखो. What's that written on the wall, right? First, जोर से सुनाई नहीं दे रहा, थोड़ा बूढ़ा हो. Okay, next to it. Next to that. Next to that. And this one. All right. So the first one, imagine, and the last one, celebrate. Right? These are the two most important things for you guys. ठीक है, ये सारे टेंशन बहुत थे, अभी नहीं, अंग्रेज भी थे, हमारे बाप दादा भी लड़े, lot of things have happened. There is that glass दिख रहा है ना, ये bottle दिख रही है, अब ये half full है, half empty है, प्यास लगा है तो it doesn't really matter to you, you will drink it, right? Similarly, technology, it's just a tool. Very boring, very simple, very great tool. How many of you can drive a scooty right now? All school students. मैं पीछे बात ही नहीं कर रहा, आप वहाँ पीछे रख सकते हैं. You guys can drive a scooty, right? 5 years before you could not. So the scooty was maybe useless for you, maybe useful for you. You used to ride at the back, but now you can ride it. License होगा नहीं होगा. Exactly like that, artificial intelligence, like you said, you are not good in technology. You are not supposed to be good in technology. Technology is supposed to serve you. Scooty is simple, so even before completing school, 50% can drive it. Artificial intelligence has become that simple. All the companies you see over here, I happen to be on their boring boards talking about safety. All the companies, like seriously, I was very impressed with myself. I must have done something right in life. But all of them are working towards making it very, very simple. There is a reason why your grandmother can use WhatsApp. It's because it is simple. So technology is supposed to serve you. The scooty is supposed to serve you. If it was very difficult, it wouldn't be a very useful product for you. But it is your choice. Just like you sit on it, you turn it on. No matter what the world tells you, the phone is your choice. And remember that part when you wake up in the morning. Because it is your choice, right? Right now you're wearing a uniform, but when you go home, what you wear is your choice. You fight with mom and dad, get me Nike shoes, right? What is your favorite food? What does Hyderabad love? Burger or pizza? Who are burger people here? He's a burger guy, I know that. Biryani, okay, biryani, right? I'm really good. Biryani, right? Now, veg pulao will not be that good. It is your choice to have biryani, isn't it? Similarly, Instagram is your choice. You might have FOMO of not being on Instagram, but when you get there because you want to be there. When you type on it, when you like something, when you dislike something, do it because you want to do it, right? Anshul created Youth Ki Awaaz because of his love for that space. There was nothing else, and I've seen the journey from the blog till it's an amazing platform. Please go back, Google it, join it. See, what happens is thoughts are here. Everybody's getting thoughts. Some people might be getting bored. Some might be thinking, I have great hair. Kaun sa shampoo lagata hu? The second you write it, you're getting closer to action, right? So thought, great. We can have 1 million. Writing, you will probably just write 100 thoughts. Action, you will probably do 10. And sadly, action is the only thing which matters. Do you know how many startup ideas are in this room? As many people. Sabke paas startup idea. Why? Because we saw it on Reel. What did Mark Zuckerberg do? He woke up, ordered pizza, beer, 30 seconds done. 30 seconds later, he's a billionaire. Right? Pizza, beer, computer, billionaire. It doesn't do that. 15 years, still not a billionaire. That is how long it takes. And to myself as well, 20 years, not a billionaire. But stay at it. Right? What you were talking about, your identity. Only thing which cannot be stolen on the internet is things which are not on the internet. Otherwise, it can be stolen. The best password can be, cracked within 24 hours. Usse zyada nahi lagta, even the greatest password. So instead of being afraid, just make a choice of, do you really want to give your details everywhere? Right? Just make a simple choice. If somebody's asking, write your phone number, you're like, okay, why do I have to write it? Other side, I don't believe in any rules. I really don't. Honestly. So you can break rules. These are man-made. Many rules that we don't follow today used to be a normality for our parents. You know Switzerland? Everybody knows Switzerland? Do you know girls? When did you guys get voting rights in Switzerland? In the 70s. Not that long ago. Not like India on 1947. Not on the same day. So girls were not allowed to vote in Switzerland. Everybody knows cigarettes? Very bad for you, na? Cigarettes, डरते क्यों बोलो ना? या कुछ और इसके, should I go further? I live in Goa. Cigarettes are fine. Cigarettes, if you watch this TV show called Mad Men, were promoted as freedom sticks for girls again. They were empowerment, right? Today it's known that it causes cancer. Similarly about mental health, right? We did not know about mental health 20 years ago. It's because of the internet and social media, we even know there is something called mental health. Ask your parents, ask your grandparents. Back in the day, everybody was mad. Mental health is like physical health. If you invest in it, it will be positive. If you don't invest in it, it it will be negative. What Anshul is talking about, that scrolling, right? That habit can be broken if you want to break it. I very well believe that all of us, and this is now I can talk to the older people as well. And oh my God, I saw Professor Sachidanand in the room. Bus. My confidence is dead, people, because Professor Sachidanand is somebody who used to take me to school on his scooty. Uncle, सब कुछ ठीक ठाक बोल रहा हूँ ना? Oh my God. Okay, अब मैं सब भूल गया. So, guys, it is your choice when you pick up that phone. It is your choice when you're giving the information. And please make it your choice. If you're going on the internet, just ask yourself one question. It's a very simple question. Why? And this you can ask every time in life, and if you get a right answer, you are doing on the right path. So don't be scared about data getting hacked. Think about how can you protect yourself from it, and two simple things. One is don't give information everywhere. Please don't write your mobile number on Instagram. It's just a stupid things to do, but I think school, you guys are smarter. Has anybody written their number on Instagram, on comments or something? Huh? But you must have shared your password with your girlfriend or boyfriend. You are that age, at least. I can see the nods in the room, it's fine. It's fine. See, now my father figures in the room, he knew how stupid I was, so I'm pretty sure you are also very stupid. So it's okay. Learn from that mistake. And literally, when you go there, what do you engage with? There is beauty and there is beast on the internet. It's just a tool. You can ride a scooty or you can have an accident with it. Scooty doesn't care. Remember this, Instagram doesn't care, it's just a platform, right? People might look at it as a hero because you can become an influencer. You can look at it as a villain because there are lots of negativities out there, but it is quite neutral for most of us. So choose what you indulge with, choose how much time you spend over there, right? It is amazing, but so are friends. The people sitting left, right of you, 20 years down the line, you'll be in touch with 3-4 of them, and they will be the most special people in your life. And everybody can agree to you, your school friends are the purest friends, right? So try and spend time with them. I know on WhatsApp groups is there, but do it in person as well. And the situation is not that bad. It was the same for everybody. I'm sure Professor Sachidanand will say the same. ऐसा ही था कुछ when I was in school. So enjoy this time and remember these two things. Imagine and celebrate. जो भी हो रहा है ना, celebrate it. It's very important, right? Life is very, very precious. Celebrate it as much as possible. Thank you.
I want to add, in the spirit of Amitabh's excitement, one very quick thing. Every generation tells the next generation that they have a problem. Okay, I'll give you an example. 1963, okay, New York magazine had a cover that said that the next generation is very selfish. Okay, wait, 1990, Time magazine had a cover that called the next generation me generation, which means very selfish. Okay, 4 years ago, New York Times had an article that called your generation very selfish. Okay, every generation thinks that the next generation has a problem and nobody wants to take accountability. So I'll go back to what Amitabh said, which is that at the end of the day, choice is completely yours. How you use what you use, and just being mindful is all that is required. Thank you.
Thank you, Amitabh. You used his answer into a pep talk very nicely, right? Very smart. Yeah. So now I would like to bring Millie back into the discussion. So, Millie, so you have spoken about your experience as part of a digital Swaraj fellowship and as a fellow, and your experiences in rural communities, right? So I want you to come into the discussion a little bit more. So you can tell me about throughout that journey, what kind of what kind of things did you notice in rural communities, which through the things that give me 1 second. So how are rural youth coming into the online space? How do they see themselves in the virtual world? How are they interacting with the information age? Did you see anything significant, something that caught your eye attention, something that made you think? Anything you want to talk about?
Yeah. So actually, the target audience that we were working with were the women of the communities, because since they are the ones who are not involved much, and they're like much into the household space. But when I started being in these locations, what I realized is that the youth, wherever I was working, it was like scattered. Like, they didn't know anything, and even like most of the people now, they are having the access of the smartphones. And the craze, I would say that even if they don't have that much money, they would like pick on this families like, oh no, everybody's having a smartphone. I also want a smartphone. They don't know what they're going to do with that. They just want it. So what becomes a little bit risky here is that they have the device, but they don't know what they are consuming. They're having maybe some other social media spaces, and they're just consuming and consuming and consuming. One such story, I think it's not my experience, but one such fellow, she was in her rural immersion, and she just met this boy who was so much addicted, to this game PUBG, that when he does not get to play it, he just started acting so weird, like uneasy, such psychological effects and all. So it becomes a very tricky space when you go to rural communities. First, because they start consuming content or any sort of social media without any background. Like we know for a while, like, okay, this is Instagram, this will be. They are doom scrolling to some other extent. So when I was there, what I realized is that it's very important to communicate to them. I mean, the literacy around this part is very important, because these people don't know it and they don't have anybody who can tell them. So what I initially started, like, I know this guy, he would like doom scroll to this YouTube shorts like anything, and very smart kid and all. He would like, come to the center and be like, this is painting and all that, and pretty artistic and all. And I'm like, do you know about Pinterest? If I know, I don't know. I'm like, but you like art and all, you should switch to it. So then I realized it also depends that, social media, and when we see the whole digital ecosystem, it's not a bad space, as every one of you mentioned. It's very important that how we guide them in terms of using, okay? Like, just I'm saying that, okay, Pinterest could be again a doom scrolling for a lot of people, like, oh, they're just watching and watching. But that's what the thing is. And that is when I realized that the guy, he just started doing it, and he started his own art page. Because he got inspired by the art, and I told him that, if you're doing this, post it here, you have a community. So I think it's very important to guide them, because, and a lot of thing also comes from a space like, they're on Facebook, and they don't know what sort of content even to share, and as we know that a lot of frauds happen through social media platform also. So yeah, I mean, one fine thing that I think is digital literacy, and the second thing I think is that the social media and this digital spaces also create quite unrealistic standards for people. Like, just assuming if somebody's posting something, we will think, oh, this is the life I want. I'm not having it. So that changed the personality of a person in a way that, it might create a certain sort of ego, it might create a certain sort of comparison, and you feel like, no, I'm not doing good enough, I'm not having enough. And I think that can have deep psychological effects also. So what I would usually do that whenever we are just having some chit chat, I would tell them that, whatever you're seeing, I'm not saying that it's fake or it's wrong, but it's different. Whatever people they are posting, they have a different lifestyle, and it's very important to make a, as we all talk about, like the decision that you take. When you are there, you're like, okay, I'm just here, and I understand it's a different person with different backgrounds and all. And when we say about this, it just seems like a thing that, okay, somebody's doing comparison, but I've seen people who do it to some great extent, and they have like disturbing nature, and they would like talk in their family, like, can we get this, can we get that? And these are like rural communities. So I think digital youth is deprived, first of all, of the access, and when the access comes, that's why I think DMs and organizations try to build those clusters where they can come and have this information and awareness, because that's a like untapped potential. So I believe that I mean, that was my personal experience in terms of rural.
Thank you for saying that. So basically, what you're saying is that it's lack of information, like necessary information, guidance. which is leading to more negative consequences of consuming these kind of platforms, right? So I would also like to add one single point. Like maybe everything that we're talking about here, it's more relatable to the urban audience, right? Because most niche content that's being created on the internet, it's all being done in English. So vernacular languages are still behind in catching up. Maybe one or two languages here and there are as good as English in terms of content creation and all that, using AI and the latest tech. But most vernaculars in India are not yet there. So they are also, it's also the matter of accessibility. They're not able to access the latest technologies to create any content. That is also, so in that context, so your work, how do you plan to make it available to the more relatable and available, accessible to the audience beyond urban communities? And also, Anshul, so yeah, you have spoken about the negative consequences of social media, but to inspire the youngsters here, what would you say would be the advantages of social media platforms? I mean, how one could use these platforms productively, right? Like how you've spoken about AI. So these things, please, you can talk about. But with one caveat, let's also open the floor for discussion. We have a very short window for that. If anybody have any questions, please raise your hand and I'll pass the mic to you. Please pose your questions and try to weave in these answers into this. Okay. Yes. So any of you, please, want to ask it away. Anything.
Actually, can I ask?
I think you should be the panel, we should be the moderator. Because I'm seriously, yeah. Okay, because we have a perspective on how it can be used, how it should be used, blah blah blah. But the reality is that nobody here in the room needs to be taught how to use it. You all know how to use it. We want to know from you, what are you thinking? Like, is there any challenge that you are perceiving? Is there anything that's on your mind in terms of your usage of social media, your usage of AI? I think it'll be good to get some experiences, of course, from the students who are here, but also maybe the teachers. It'll be interesting to hear. Amitabh has completely thrown the teachers off. Don't listen to anybody.
Any anecdote that you want to share, which you think is significant to the discussion here? Anything, please.
What do you guys do on the phone? Anybody just grab the mic? Come on.
Yeah.
Put the mic there. Yeah. Anybody? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, just.
I usually write stories on Wattpad, like more like FFs.
More like what?
FFs, like fan fictions.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I also read some of the fan fictions on my free time. But sometimes it gets very addicting, so yeah.
What do you do then when you're saying sometimes it gets very addictive?
I switch off my phone so that I could concentrate on my studies, because that's also important. Because now we are also having exams, so I have to keep my phone away from me so that I can concentrate my studies more.
So anybody else?
Yeah, anybody else who wants to share? On that side, I think something you want to share.
So usually, mostly I play games or watch Instagram reels, but recently I've reduced that and I started focusing a little bit more on the musical side. So I started making some beats and songs on some softwares, and to take it to keep myself away from the phone, I'm also investing in getting some instruments.
That's amazing.
So I would say that.
There's a rapper here. Beatbox.
So I would say that investing in things which are interesting to you and not on screens is better.
See, we don't need to give any
There's please. Sure.
Slightly So since we're discussing AI regulations, how we can incorporate AI in day-to-day life, and like you rightly said, most of us don't really need to be taught how to use AI. Curiosity is enough for that. We can, of course, experiment on it, make wrong decisions, make right decisions, learn from mistakes, right? So as you're leaders, you're founders, you're in a position where, as panelists, of course, you'll have a lot of experience. So my question to you is, I'm sure most of the students here agree as well. When we're writing assignments, when we're writing things and we use ChatGPT, the first thing that's said is plagiarism. This is not allowed. Send it back, right? So how is it that as leaders within a community, within your own respective communities, how are you fostering environments that enable us to use AI as a resource and a tool instead of creating an aversion to it by calling it shortcuts or because I believe that our generation has been born into something like this where we have the privilege of technology on our side. So how is it that we can as a community with the elder generation, the older generation, sorry,
Historical generation.
yeah. So how is it that we can go hand in hand and foster an environment where knowledge, where access to information, like you said, this is a choice, but we don't know the right choice till we make a mistake. So how is it that we create such an environment where we are able to safely navigate this technology and it is encouraged and it will add to our individuality instead of taking away from it?
Oh wow, that's a really important question. If you're doing an activity for the first time, there are only two probabilities. You get it right or you get it wrong. There is nothing else. If you get it wrong, you learn something. If you got it right, you'll make a mistake next time. That's just the way it happens. Artificial intelligence, just like computers earlier, printing press before that, pen before that, many other things before that, is an amazing, beautiful, wonderful tool. It should enhance your creativity. You all know email? Yes. Yeah. You all know Gmail? So my life became better when Gmail started doing those red things. Whenever you made a spelling mistake, it used to do. After that, I never made a spelling mistake. Great tool, right? But it was my thought that it improved. Youth ki Awaaz, are you writing your article that AI is improving, or is AI writing the article? If AI is writing the article, eventually you'll stay at the average. Even today, to go above, you can improve with AI. You can take a great picture and improve it with filters. But if filters are taking the picture, eventually you will be very average or below average. So it's a tool to accelerate, become better, and keep it as a tool. Secondly, you will only learn through mistakes. It's a very difficult thing to say because when you fail, everybody's like, failure. You learn way more with failure, and you need to cry, you need to feel hard to improve. Right? Everybody knows running, you must be doing sports. The only way you become better at running is if you run more. Right? The only way your brain works better is if you read more, if you think more. Actually, books and reading is exactly like working out. Right? Before you write, how much do you read? And AI tools are just that. They will just improve it a little bit. If you tell it, write an article on Youth Ki Awaaz, all our articles will be the same because AI is writing it. But if I write an article and then tell it, oh, make this more creative. Can you give me better sentences? Can you change the grammar? Then it becomes even better. So use it as a tool. Don't be scared of it. I remember in class 2, when I was in class 2, for the first time I took a printout and gave it in my science project. And the teacher said, I don't want anything artificial. So back in the day, God knows in which century I was in class 2, a printout was considered artificial, right? Because it wasn't handwritten. Today, teachers are struggling with homework being done on ChatGPT. By the time you guys get older, teachers will be struggling with AI agents doing homework. Students are not even coming to school. This is progression which needs to be celebrated. But instead of complaining, and I will never go on the complaining side, I will always go on the celebrating and using side of things. Celebrate it, use it, and make mistakes because now you can correct them a lot quicker. You don't have to cut it with a pen. It's happening digitally, right? So become way better by using technology. So that would be my approach. I don't know if I answered your question. Yeah, please.
I'll add one thing on the plagiarism bit specifically. So even universities have now started doing this. Columbia does this, I know this for a fact, which is that they give you an assignment and they say you have to write an answer. They tell you not to use ChatGPT, but they also say along with that in case you use ChatGPT to brainstorm the answer, send the prompt along with the answer that you actually finally come up with, right? So even large universities are accepting that people might use ChatGPT to do exactly what Amitabh said, improve upon how they're thinking, what they might be missing out on, but not to create original answers or to create original research, because that gets caught like this. It's not, we know for sure Youth Kiosk does get ChatGPT created articles, and our editors read it, like read the first time, they're like, it's ChatGPT. Like, it can't. And one more very important thing, which is that, AI can write beautiful reports for you. It can't create life experiences for you, right? And that's where the reality of writing is, your life experiences. So it can assist you, it's an assistant. It's not you. So I think that's the fine line. We actually use ChatGPT a lot in our work. So there are a couple of things that we do. One, we've built a couple of models. First, helps us tackle spam on the platform, because we've received so much spam that now our model has learned what spam is and how to identify it, how to block it, do all of that, right? Second, we just tested another model over the last month, which makes writers get instant, very high quality feedback on their writing. So not ChatGPT level feedback. This has been trained on 500,000 emails that our editors have written to writers, giving them line by line feedback on what they've written. So this bot that we've built gives higher quality feedback than a ChatGPT would, right? Similarly, we've now built a writing brainstorming bot where you can brainstorm your articles, whatever you want to put together, and that's being launched on our platform next week. So it's really a great, like I said, it's an enabler in many ways. It can be used to actually fight plagiarism also. So yeah, that's the perspective I have on that question. Thank you.
So I would like to wrap this session. Before we go, I would request someone, please.
Yes.
A monologue or a rap, anything.
Where's the beatbox?
Yeah,
Okay.
after the beatbox. 8 months. So just short answer.
Okay.
So we'll go for a tea break now. Your tea will be served like.
It's not done like this. So, okay, this is one I remember now and understand. This was done for a school project. And it was, so my teacher, who I respect a lot, he was like, we need to send something for this government scheme, which we had to talk about how NP is enabling us. And okay, I have opinions about this, but I respect the teacher, as I said. I was like, okay, look, sometimes opinions can be sidelined when you have higher motive, I would call it. And that was because I respect my teacher. So I was like, okay, I'll write one on NEP. These opinions may or may not align with mine. So do not get inspired by whatever this is. It's not true. Okay, so NEP has its faults, which I could outline some other day for you. But this is how it goes. And I'm going to say it as like a poem, okay? I'm not rapping right now. Okay, this is not. Okay, so we, the people of the Janabhoomi, struggle and strive, sacrifice, and the shared destiny of the vision we see. One earth, one world, a global community. Entering the battlefield and fighting for peace. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, world is a family, the tricolor sings of an age of unity, the global community. Entering the battlefield and fighting for peace. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, world is a family, the tricolor sings of an age of unity. Okay, I cannot remember the rest of the lines. Okay, I'm sorry, guys.
That's wonderful. No.
Thank you so much, Sonia.
And that was a rap. It was
Yes, yeah, it was. So yes, so this is the end of the session. Please head outside for the tea. And those of you all who wanted to ask questions but were shy and were not able to do it here, please bombard these guys outside. Surround them. Ask whatever you want. They are the leaders in the industry. They are doing amazing work. You will not get a chance again. Please do it. Utilize this opportunity. Just ask whatever you want. You guys are the future creators. Go for it. Thank
Big
you.
round of applause for Vikas, please. Let's head outside.
Smile. We're there. Okay.